And then come up. Oh, none of this is what I need. Alright, I'm bored. I'm gonna play some video games instead. Ah, come on! You even blocked Cool Math Games? What the heck, IT guy? Why do you hate me so much? Oh, that's right. That's me. Well, now that I can't have any fun doing something counterproductive, let's do something productive. I'll go ahead and show you how you can install Teams on a Mac OS device for your student. Of course, that's probably why you clicked the video in the first place. So, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start from the Iroquois School District's homepage, which many of you are probably familiar with because that's probably how you found this video in the first place. Now, you'll see that there's a couple of buttons on this page. You have the Clever button and you have the Microsoft Teams button. We're going to go ahead and click the Microsoft Teams button to take us to the Teams homepage. So we'll go ahead and click that. Now, an important thing to note is that it's not necessary to install Teams on your Mac or Windows computer. You can actually run Teams entirely through a browser, although Teams only runs properly in a few browsers. It works perfectly in Chrome, and Chrome is you can install Chrome on either Mac or PC. And it also works just fine in the Edge browser, since it is a Microsoft product after all. However, it doesn't seem to work very well in Firefox, and it definitely doesn't work at all in Safari. So if you're using Mac, you'll definitely need to make sure that you have installed Chrome before you try to use Teams in the browser. However, for sake of completeness, I'm going to show you exactly how to install the application itself on a Mac computer. Now, when you first click that little link, you'll come to a login page. I've already signed in once, so it shows the example student that I have here. But if you don't see this, what you will see instead is this kind of sign-in page. Now, the login you're going to want to put here is going to be your student's student number and the password that they use to log into their computers at school. Now, it's been a little bit, so I can see that maybe some of the students have probably forgotten their passwords at this point. If that's the case, you can email the teacher or you can get a hold of the office, and they should be able to provide your student with their login information. For sake of argument, though, let's pretend that we do remember our login information. So we'll go ahead and put it in. So my student is going to be 6809888 at iroquois.iu5.org. And we'll click Next. Now, you'll know that you've spelled everything right if the background changes and you see this little Iroquois School District thing pop up. If you don't see that, it means that you might have spelled Iroquois wrong or missed a dot somewhere in that long domain name. But this basically means, like, yep, that's the Iroquois domain you're trying to log into. So we'll go ahead and put in our password. And again, it's the same password the student uses to get into their computer. So there we go, and we'll click sign in. Now, if this is your computer, you being the parent, and the student is signing into what would normally be your login, then you might not want to click the Stay Signed In button, because this will log you out of any, if you have any Microsoft websites that you use, say for work. It will sign you out of those and sign them into their Microsoft account. So if that's the case, go ahead and click No, so that you don't have to keep re-signing into yours over and over again. But since this is going to be a student computer, we're just going to go ahead and click Yes. So after we do that, we will be taken to the Microsoft Teams page. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, Teams is entirely usable within the browser itself. You don't actually have to install the app in order to use it. But I'm going to show you, there are a couple reasons that it's kind of nice to use the app rather than just the browser. The primary reason, aside from just, not having to log in and out of a browser if it's not, if it's not your student's computer, is that the ability to control your camera and microphone for the live meetings with teachers is much easier to do on the app than it is on the browser. You can entirely do it in the browser, but the browser will ask for specific permissions like the permission to use your camera and the permission to use your microphone, and it's very easy to accidentally click No on both of those. So what we'll do is we will go ahead and close this little welcome window that pops up. If you do use the browser, you can turn on desktop notifications. What that'll do is anytime something is notified in the activity bell right here, it'll pop up a little notification on your computer. We'll go ahead and click dismiss that for now. But here you can see this is the full Teams app. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and install the Teams app. Most of the time, the first time you come on here, it will tell you, hey, you can click here to install the Teams app. If you don't see that, though, you'll see there's a little button right here. This button is what allows you to download the app to install on your laptop. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Click that. And you can see that it's downloading. It's usually a pretty quick download. We have a good internet speed, so we should be good. Probably just take a couple minutes to finish down. Oh, we're done. Excellent. All right. So once the file is actually done downloading, you can install it by simply clicking on it in the browser here, or if you're using something else other than Chrome and you don't quite see it right here, it has been sent to your downloads folder, which by default on a Mac will show up right about here in your dock. So we'll go ahead and click that real quick. You can see there is the Teams package. The PKG is a standard installer file for Macs. So we will go ahead and click that, and we'll have a little installer window pop up. So we'll click continue. We will click install. And then it's going to ask for an administrator user if your computer is set up that way. If you are set as an administrator on your computer, you can just put in your name. Or if there is like any administrator set up on your computer, you can put it in. For the most part, most people don't really set it up this way on a Mac, so you might not even see this window. So I'll go ahead and put that in. Okay, and we are installed. So when you install something new in a Mac, it's going to wind up in your applications folder. So we'll go ahead and click close. And we'll click move to trash. That's fine. And we're going to go to our applications folder. Now, there's a couple different ways to get to the applications folder in a Mac. A lot of people like to use the Launchpad, which is this little button right about there. So we'll click that. And you can see all the applications installed on our computer will show up in here. So you can see Teams is right there. Alternatively, you can actually go to your applications folder, which we can get to by clicking this little finder icon right there. And we will click applications under favorites, and you'll see here are all the applications installed on this computer. And you can see, oh, there's Microsoft Teams right there. So however you want to do it, we'll go ahead and open up this little application we've downloaded. Now, when you first open it up, it's going to ask you to sign in. So same thing as before. It's going to be the email address, which is your 6/8 number, or your student's 6/8 number. If I can type. There we go. And we'll click sign in. And again, it'll ask for a password. So same password they use to log into the school computers. And after a couple of minutes, Teams will go ahead and start up. Now you'll notice that this looks basically identical to what we were seeing in the web browser itself. Like I said, the difference between the two is very, very minor. The main reason to use this is just that it's a bit easier to do video conferencing with it than it is to do it entirely in the browser. So real quick, I'm going to show you the basic layout of this application, so you can see where to find everything. And in another video, we're going to go over where everything is and how to do everything in Teams. This is just going to be like a Mac specific, here's where everything is. So first we're going to start with the activity bell. The activity bell is where you will be able to see anything that is directly related to your student. So if a teacher has put out an assignment, if they have a meeting for your student to go to, or if they have sent a specific notification to them, you will see it show up in this activity feed. It's a very good place to start when you first open up Teams. It's an easy place for your student to see what's going on today. So the next thing down is going to be the little Teams button right there. Now, one of two things will happen when you click that. Either you will wind up here, where we are already on one of our teams, or you'll wind up on the All Teams page. Now, if you're here and you want to see where all of your teams are, up here, where it says All Teams, if we click that, it'll take us to this little page where we'll see all the teams that we are a part of. You can see this example student is part of English 12, is in a CAD class, and he is part of Russ's awesome team, which is great because that's my class, but also less great because it's a fake class. But if it was a real class, it would be an awesome class. Probably. In any case, when you click one of these teams, it will take you back to that team-specific page. So we'll go ahead and click CAD. And you can see we've been taken to the actual CAD team page. So the next thing we're going to go over is the assignments button, which is right there. What assignments are in Teams, very briefly, is a way for teachers to encapsulate a bunch of data that they want your student to know. And along with any like quizzes or tests or, you know, any test of their comprehension of whatever that information is. It's a nice, easy way to keep track of what your student needs to do and what your student needs to know, all in one place. So if you click the Assignments tab, you can see here again are all of the classes that the student is a part of. So we're going to click CAD, and we'll see if there are any assignments due for this student. Ah, yes, and we have a series of assignments. On this page, you'll see that there are 3 different assignments. Over here, you can see the assignments, what they are worth in terms of points. Now, obviously, right now, we are doing non-mandatory, so these points wouldn't actually apply for, you know, this particular thing. But later on, you know, we may end up using that if that's what we end up doing. And you can see that there is a due date right here, and you can see that each of these is considered past due. So this is an easy way for your student to keep track of exactly like what they need to do for different classes. Any assignments they have will automatically show up on this page in each of their different classes. And to go back to see all of the assignments for all of the different teams, we just click this little button right about there, and that'll take us back to here are all of the classes that have assignments. Those are the primary tabs that we use on Teams, but also here is the calendar tab. If your student is invited to a live meeting, so a lot of teachers will be showing live classroom video, their invitations will show up here on the calendar when it's happening and like which team, and they can basically just click it and be taken directly to that meeting there. But that's basically all this calendar tab will be used for. As you can see, there are actually 2 other little buttons here. There is this little phone button. That's actually for a VoIP system that is built into Teams that we don't actually utilize at the school. So for all intents and purposes, that button doesn't really mean anything. And then there is this little Files button. Now, the Files button is there to just make it easy to, if you're going to copy documents from your OneDrive into Teams, or if you're going to copy documents from your computer into OneDrive, that's basically what that's there for, but it's not really something that we need to use with Teams, and the students themselves specifically won't really need to use it. So you can basically ignore it. So yeah, that is the basics of how to install Teams on a Mac. In the next video, we're going to go over all of the basics of how your students can actually use Teams in a more generalized sense.